Now let's calculate total room nights and total room revenue for each hotel, but only for specific room types. For example, in this section of the report, we only want to calculate room nights and room revenue for standard room types for each hotel. So we're still going to use SUMIF, but we can't use SUMIF as is. We have to use a variation of SUMIF called SUMIFS, and that's with an additional S. Now, SUMIFS will take as the first argument the range that you want to sum. Now, in our case, we want to calculate total room nights. So the range we want to sum is K2 to K38. After we enter that as our first argument, the second and the third argument will be the range that we want to evaluate and the criteria. So one of the ranges that we want to evaluate is the hotel names, because we only want to calculate room nights if the value in D2 to D38 is equal to a specific hotel. The second range that we want to evaluate is the room type, E6 colon E38. We only want to include room nights for bookings for standard rooms. So all in all, we're going to have 5 arguments to our SUMIFS. So let's get going. We type the name of the function, open parenthesis. Okay, so you can see that the first argument is the range that you want to sum. As we mentioned earlier, we want to calculate total room nights, so we want to add this range, K6 colon K38. Okay, now one of the ranges that we want to evaluate is D6 colon D38. This contains the hotel names, and we want to make sure that we only include room nights where the hotel name matches the value in A17, comma. Okay, now our second range that we want to evaluate is the room type, E6 colon E38, comma, and the value is that it should be equal to standard. And instead of typing the word standard, we're just going to use the cell reference A14, because this cell contains the value we want. And we're going to make this absolute. Have to make A14 absolute, and the answer is 29. I copy it to the rest of the rows, and I sum, and the answer is 184. Now I do the same for total room revenue. Okay, SUMIFS. For total room revenue, the range we want to sum is L2 to L38. And the first range that we want to evaluate is also the hotel name. The second range we evaluate is E2 to E38. And let's make these absolute. Now we can copy this and sum it. And that's our answer.